Deconverted Man had a little video titled "Homework for You, Smiley," and this is a basic response video to that. He had a book, I forgot the title, it was some kind of apologist to atheist book, whatever. And he had turned out later on multiple assignments in there, among others to respond to a quoted paragraph under the heading, quote, "Atheism, what if there is no God?" Question mark, end quote. And Deconverted Man, from here on DM, for example, wanted us to count fallacies or give a textual analysis in comments or in video. So here's a video, and it's not going to necessarily be counting fallacies, but I'll not jump the shark. You'll find that out in a minute. Before I get to that, there was a little side note Deconverted Man had on... I'm wondering why I'm saying Deconverted Man instead of DM here. But the side note being that he was pondering if there was something wrong with the title atheism, what if there is no God? While questions may have assumptions, and there are two surefire ways to end up with fallacious questions, I can imagine a question relating to one or more implicit or not propositions. Overall, though, I would not consider questions logical premises, because I try not to equivocate between premise in the meaning of outline. For example, the premise of the Superman movies is an alien on Earth that has above human capabilities, and premise in terms of propositions. For example, Socrates is man. Okay, let's start with the actual text. Atheism, what if there is no God? Question mark. So again, I've embedded in this little write-up a rough summary of each and every line, but please see the full video on Deconverted Man's channel. Though a recent poll shows, between brackets abbreviated, shows atheism as a small group, atheistic thinkers' influence, yes, is widespread, and his examples there are never related back to atheism. Something someone says about communism or whatever the bleep has not necessarily anything to do with atheism. It can, but it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with it. So I know Deconverted Man likes his fallacies, so fallacy of irrelevance. It continued with the quote, "Most college students," and then I abbreviated, "hear stuff like this." And there were a few quotes there, but that seems irrelevant because most college student encapsulates both atheists and theists, and whatever other position, how unfortunate that may be for the people holding that it's a true dichotomy. Strike two for the fallacy of irrelevance, I guess. This quote became a slogan for the God is Dead movement. Well, great, so what? Great. That I mentioned there in my own scribblings, they're still missing a rug to tie the room together there. It continues in the text. Not all atheists are this militant, however. Somebody wrote this quote. And if that is meant to show somehow the contradiction to his own proposition that not all atheists are militant, it's still poisoning the well. the text continued, skeptics and agnostics say XYZ, and the XYZ is my language there. Atheists claim to know there is no God. That is from the text. And my remarks to that would be that's a category error, and he knows this by trying to hedge skeptics and agnostics away from the attempt to stick a round peg in a square hole. Straw man and otherwise possibly poisoning the well, and that's without considering the follow-up quote, there is only the world and the natural forces that operate it, which somehow is an obvious belief held by every atheist. Oh wait, it obviously isn't. It isn't for a section of the diverse outlooks that exist within the umbrella atheism. And I'm not even nitpicking there about the soul of jazz music or whatever funny stuff people want to bring up. There are actually some self-professed atheists, and I'll be loosely with the term self-professed there, but you know what I mean, I guess, that are adamant about whatever form of woo that wouldn't fall strictly under the proposed umbrella. There is only the world and the natural forces that operate it. Although in part the converse works, if one can show XYZ to be part of the world, or part of the universe, most atheists will accept it or won't reject it. There is a bit of unintentionally loaded language involved with believing only in the world and natural forces, were it to be said by some atheist that he or she only believes such. Of course, in this case of this book, it's not said by an atheist, and we can freely clarify what we mean instead of being told what we believe. After this, DM posed some more things to contemplate. Among the general question of Deconverted Man, did he answer the question? No, of course not. The original question, atheism, what if there is no God? Is that answered? Of course not. Possible answers to what if there is no God are, things that logically follow. Dogma pertaining to there being a God would be irrelevant. But that's missing the point. Missing the point of the intent of the writing. Although you need to read a bit between the lines to get there. The question isn't to be answered, neither in text nor for the theist, but to be raised, rhetorically or not, to any atheist. In whatever variety of, so if there's no God, what about X, Y, and Z? And yes, you can fill in the typical points refuted 1,000 times here, like how do you account for X, Y, Z, given you can't say God done it. But that raises, of course, equally so the question, even if God done it is an account, and letting slide by the wayside it isn't, you won't and can't account for God. Why do you think that is? And I can't really imagine any answer being incapable of a follow-up response that goes something like, great, so why are you trying to say you know anything about something you also admit or say is unknowable? Who is wrong here, me or me simply for being skeptical of esoteric knowledge, or you for your contradiction? So yeah, after that, Deconverted Man asks to put ourselves in the shoes of uninformed theists reading that jumble of mess, and to contemplate if it prepares them to face atheists. Given that it sounded more like the first paragraph of some book, he held up a pretty thick book, so I don't want to take it all the way outside of it. But given that, and that I have trouble putting on my own shoes, I'll charitably pass on that. After that, DM mentions his Patreon, so to respond in kind there, please consider visiting my Patreon account, linked on screen and in the description below. Others that, of course, do visit Deconverted Man. Leave your like and or comments. Feel free to share this video. Feel free to make your own response to Deconverted Man. And lastly, thanks for watching. See you next time.